All right, so what we did yesterday was we introduced this idea of creating a bed class, all right? And then I asked you guys to go ahead and make your own classes for the other objects that you have in your room. So you might have a carpet class and a bed and a dresser and a lamp and a TV stand, okay? And so let's just go ahead and examine the lamp class here. This code down here is saying we're going to have a reference to a lamp object called L, and L is going to be equal to a new lamp object. And then it's saying go and tell L, the lamp, to do its draw. And so over here, we're then going to have it do these instructions, which basically draws a lampshade, the bulb inside of the lamp, and then a label for the lamp. And if we run that, it looks like that. Okay? So this is that lamp right here. All right? This is the point 10 to 60, right? That's this point where we're filling in that pink circle, or filling in that pink oval. Okay? This is the point 30 to 80, about right here. And this is the point 10 to 320 where we're drawing the word lamp. Okay? All right. So what if I want another lamp in my room? Like, what if I want a lamp next to my dresser? Or I should say next to my bed. Okay? What I don't want to do is create a whole new class for lamp and say like, oh, my second lamp or my third lamp. What I'd like to be able to do is basically make changes to the lamp here so that I can make multiple lamps out of this one class. And that's kind of the idea that we want to get used to in object-oriented programming. And so we're going to basically start doing that now. We're going to make some changes to lamp. So the first change that we're going to make is we're going to say that we want basically to be able to move this lamp wherever we want it to go. Okay? In other words, if I make a second lamp, I don't want to draw it in the same place. I want to draw it over here. Okay? Because it doesn't make sense if I go to some store and buy a lamp, right? I'm not going to say like, yeah, let me pay for 2 lamps, but I'm going to put them in the exact same place in my room, right? So what we're going to introduce is the idea of what are called instance variables, okay? So what we want to do is we want to be able to position our lamp objects. All right. So what we do is we create X and Y variables in the lamp class. So X and Y because that's what defines the position. Right? Variables that are in a class but not inside a method are called instance variables. And instance variables are normally declared private. We'll talk about why they're declared private basically at another time. But for now, we're just going to get used to the idea that when we declare a variable that's inside the class, but not inside a method, that we're going to make it a private variable. All right? So here's how that looks. We're going to go like this. Private int x and private int y. And then I'll just say that these keep track of the lamp position. So when we declared these instance variables, we didn't give them a value. And so we need some way of giving x and y a value. And that's kind of the next step that we're going to talk about right now, which is defining what we call a constructor. Okay? So a constructor is a special type of method that's used to initialize instance variables. Okay? And I'm going to give you kind of 3 things to look for to tell whether you're either A, making a constructor, or B, looking at a constructor. A constructor has the same name as the class. Okay? A constructor has no return type. And a constructor has what we call parameters for the instance variables it will set. Okay? So those 3 things. Let's go through an example. So this is what that looks like, okay? Constructors are public. They have the same name as the class that they're in. They have parentheses because they are a method. And they have brackets because they are going to do something, okay? Inside of those method parentheses, we're going to define whatever parameter variables we need so that we can set the instance variables. So in this case, we're going to say that we need an int for the x, and we need an int for the y. Most methods that we look at will have public in front of them. They'll have a type, in this case void. They'll have a name, and then they'll have parentheses with some parameters inside of them. So the parameter variable for draw is this graphics G. Okay? A constructor is a special type of method, okay? A constructor has the same name as the class, and it has no return type. So when we look at this, we say, oh, okay, here's a public, so then maybe this is a method. There's no return type in front of lamp, okay? So that's one thing that tells us, all right, this might be a constructor. Then the name of the method is lamp, and so is the name of the class, so that tells us probably a constructor, okay? And you don't have to have parameters, but this one has parameters, the x and the y, and those variables, the x and the y, are going to be used to set our x value and our y value for our lamp. Okay? So this is our first example of creating a constructor. Okay? And I'm just going to put in here that the x and the y are parameters. Okay? So we're defining our own parameters. Inside of the lamp constructor then, so I'm just going to kind of make some space for myself here. Inside of this then, we're going to say x equals the x and y equals the y. And then I'm going to put a little comment in there so that hopefully we can understand what's going on. And really, all of this stuff should make more sense once we get to the end of the lesson, okay? So what we're doing here is we're assigning the values received by the constructor to the instance variables. All right. So lamp is going to receive some x and some y, and then it's going to assign x to the x and assign y to the y. All right? And we'll see what that means kind of in a second. All right. So why are we doing this? Well, we're doing this so that when we draw a lamp, we're drawing it at a position that is x and y instead of a position that is, for example, 10 to 60. Okay? So I'm going to just kind of make a note to myself over here that the original position of this lamp was 10, 260. So at this point then, what I want to do is kind of look back at this picture again and say, this 10, 260 is this point right here, okay? What we're going to do is we're going to change this to say, we're going to draw the lamp wherever X and Y are, okay? So I'm going to change this 10 right here to X, and I'm going to change this 260 right here to Y, okay? But if I make a lamp somewhere else, the bulb should go with the lamp, and so should the label. Does that make sense for you guys? Like, I don't want to draw this pink circle over here and have this yellow circle still sitting over here. I want the yellow circle to go with it, okay? And so now what I have to do is I have to figure out if the lamp is drawn at X, Y, and that's where the lampshade goes, where does the lamp bulb go? Well, the way I think about that is I say, like, okay, when this was 10, this was 30. So how do I get from 10 to 30? X plus 20, right? So in place of this 30 right here, I'm going to do X plus 20. Similarly, when Y is 260, right, this becomes 280. How do I get to from 260 to 280? I add 20, right? So this is going to be Y plus 20, all right? When X was 10, right? So X here is 10. The label for the lamp is also at 10. So what am I going to put in here instead of 10? Just X, right? You could do X plus 0, but it's really just X, okay? And then, again, we had our Y at 260, okay? And this is 320. How do I get from 260 to 320? Plus 60. So I'm going to do Y plus 60 there. All right, so what we're going to do now is wrap up this lesson here, okay? What we've done so far maybe didn't make a whole lot of sense, but after we see the next couple examples, it should start making a lot more sense, okay? So we're going to go over to the Waz's object room, or your object room, okay? Now, this should have an error in it now. There it is. Okay, so I had to save everything. So this error right here is saying basically when we make a new object, what we're really doing, and I've kind of hidden this from you because we didn't know what a constructor was until now, this is really calling the constructor. Okay? So when we make a new dresser, we're saying, hey, make a new object. How do I do it? Construct a dresser. When I'm making a lamp here, I'm saying make a new object. How do I do it? Construct a lamp. Okay? Except now I've changed the rules. Okay? What I did over here is I changed it so that when I construct a lamp, I have to get two int values. One for the X, one for the Y. So over here, what I'm going to do now is I'm going to say, when you make this lamp, make it at 10, 260. And now it has no problem with that, okay? Now I'm going to do one more thing here, okay? So kind of pay attention up here so you don't get kind of lost. I'm going to pull lamp down so that we can see both lamp and the room class, okay? So here's my lamp class down here. Here's my room class up here. And what I'm doing right here, again, is saying L is a lamp. L should be equal to a new object. And the object is going to be a lamp that's constructed so that we're sending 10 to the X and we're sending 260 to the Y. All right? What the lamp constructor does with those numbers then is it assigns X to be the 10 that it got for the X, and it assigns Y to be the 260 that we got from up here. All right? Then we're telling L to draw. Okay? So when I run it this time, it looks the exact same. Okay? So now you should be thinking in your head like, you're just adding all this extra stuff and we never get anything that looks any different. So why are we doing this? Okay? And that's a good thought to have. The thing that we want to do now is we want to add some extra lamps. Okay? So what we're going to do over here is we're going to say, make another lamp. And this one is going to be my bedside lamp. So I'm going to say bed lamp is my name. And then new lamp. And we're going to position this thing so it's next to my bed. So I'm not exactly sure where that should be. So let's go ahead and say it's at x equals 200, y equals 10. And then I want my bed lamp to draw. All right? So now I have 2 lamps in my room. Okay, so now I drew that right on top of my bed. So 200 wasn't the right X number, but because of what I've done, it's real easy to change that. I'm just going to change this over to 150. And now my lamp is sitting right next to my bed. Okay? So now I have 2 lamps. All right? Well, let's say that my wife wants a lamp too, so I'm going to go ahead and make another lamp here. Lamp, bed lamp 2 is a new lamp. And that one is going to be, I don't know, 350, 10. So it's on the other side of the bed here. So I want to make bed lamp 2 draw. All right, and I'm going to go ahead and run that. Okay, so now I have 3 lamps in there, right? And you guys watch Stranger Things. Like if I want a whole bunch of lamps in my room so I can talk to my kid who's like, you know, gone, then I can just go ahead and keep making lamps in there. Just add lamp, 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 lamp. And the idea here is that we create one lamp class and we design it in such a way that we can make, you know, we can just say position the lamps wherever we want. And this class, I didn't have to change this class in order to make more lamps, right? I write one class, and that allows me to make as many lamps as I want. And that's a critical thing about object-oriented programming. And that's a big thing that you need to understand, is that we want to make our classes such that when we create them, they allow us to make as many objects as we want from them. All right? So hopefully that came through, and this kind of explains how that's working. So bed lamp is at 150.10. That bed lamp is keeping track of its own X and Y values for its object. Okay? Bed lamp 2 is in a different position. That's going to keep track of its position in its own X, Y values. All right? And that's the idea today.